Guys, hello and welcome back to the podcast, to the video, wherever you're watching us. I think we're doing quite well. We're we're prepping for this storm that's coming. Apparently, the worst storm, period. That's what they say.
Yeah, it's the worst storm ever. Like 90
So,
miles, 90 mile per hour winds. I got actually. I was doing a video before this, and my have you ever had an alert come through on an Apple phone?
oh, I seen that the UK government sent it out.
Oh my god! But it's like it sends off this horrendous alarming tone. Like, I wonder if I can play it on my phone now. It's horrendous.
Let
Apple
me.
warning alerts. Listen to this.
I hear nothing.
You don't hear that?
No, noise cancelling to stop us from hearing it.
Anyway, noise cancellation is not working. I just tried to play it then, but it's this literally war alarm sound like.
So you prepped, Alex?
And then it gave this paragraph of like basically saying there's going to be 90 mile per hour winds, and you should prep for like having spare torches, batteries. It'll cause damage to houses, infrastructure. I'm like, what the hell's going on with this? And it's like right
It's all
now,
over.
there's no wind whatsoever.
You wake up tomorrow. It's like a scene out of like the day after tomorrow. What's this film's called?
I hope not.
It's like maybe they were right. They say it's going to be very big here as well, so we'll wait and see. We'll know soon what it's going to be like. But let's just move on from that for now. Alex, what do we want to talk about tonight?
Let's talk about our first products. So
Oh, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
let's talk about our very first products that we sold on the internet.
Okay, I'll go first. Right. So the very first product, it takes me back. Right. So
Takes me
I
back.
started. It takes me way back. Right. Way back. Right. So I remember when I was in secondary school. When I started secondary school, I actually ended up changing school. And when I moved to the new school, I was like a week or two ahead of all the other students, right? So the teacher says, do you know what? I was in the woodwork class. He said, here, you just go and use this thing called a lathe, right? So I started using this machine. I really enjoyed it. And I was like, I want to get one of these for myself, right? So I bought a cheap one at home, got it, started using it, and soon I realized I wanted a better one. So cut a long story short, I bought it in the UK, had it like put on a pallet, shipped over to Ireland. It was brilliant, right? But then I noticed the ones in Ireland were about £400 or £500 or euros more expensive at the time. And I was like, haha. So I can buy them and then I can sell them and I keep the profit. So I got a loan from my parents. I bought one, brought it in, blah, 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 did all the different things. I made 700 or 800 euro profit, right? So I did that for years. And I remember then I ended up, people started asking me for these things called metalworking lathes because I was only selling wood lathes. So when people started asking me, I was like, I don't know much about metalworking lathes, but all I know is people want them. So I bought a metalworking lathe, and people started asking me all these questions about them. Didn't know a lot about them even when people asked me the questions about them. But again, I soon learned the answers to the questions that people needed to know in order to get a sale. And Alex, what I done then was I started selling all the tools and all the machinery with the lathe, right? But then someone said to me one day, they said, why don't you sell that equipment separately? Because you're just giving away money. So I was like, grand. So I used to offer to the people that were buying the lathe, I'd sell the lathe at the same flat price, but the tools were extra, a couple €100 extra. Then if they didn't take them, I just take them off the lathe, right? Or I'd throw them in as perceived value sometimes to get the deal, get the asking price. And if they didn't buy them, I'd list them on eBay, right? And I remember one time I was out with my friend. I was in a pub. I wasn't drinking a lot, but I remember the notification, much like your iPhone notification.
Yeah.
And I remember I'd taken my phone out of my pocket and I got that message. I don't know, have you ever got it? It's like, you've got funds. Do you ever get that message?
Yeah, about that.
The PayPal message, right?
Yeah.
And it was like 400 or £500. And I made that when I was socializing in the pub, right? And from that moment on, I was like, I really don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up, but all I know is I want to get more of those notifications, right? So that was my very, very, very first sale online. Can you beat that?
Can I beat that? Well, I was just going to introduce my first product I sold on Amazon, but
Hmm.
you seem to go back about 100
Way back.
years. I'm just trying to
eBay.
think what was my first product I sold online. I mean, I've always sold things. I've always been a bit of a wheeler dealer. Like, I tell you what, actually, first thing I used to have like a little side business selling bikes. One second, I just need to call. And what I used to do was buy secondhand bikes and parts of places like marketplaces online, get them to my house, and then I would actually build a bike from the parts and then sell them as a complete bike. And
Oh, cool.
yeah, it was a pretty good idea. Or I would buy bikes that I saw were broken that I could easily fix them, and then just put my little bit on top of that. Worked really well as a little business. You know, when you're like a 20-year-old kid or 18-year-old kid living at your home with your parents. Well, that's what I was
Earning
anyway.
good money doing that.
I wasn't. I mean, it was. I've always liked the hustle. Anything that requires like a bit of work, a bit of graft to add value to something. I've always enjoyed that. Always enjoyed
Oh,
it.
man, that's unreal. Like I often do say, like even when I was selling all those lathes and stuff, I was always like, even if I didn't make any money, I always said, I'd still do it just for the art of the deal. That's what Donald Trump says, like the art of the deal. Well, I actually just enjoyed the deal. I enjoyed learning like what people, what to say to people and when and what like to imply. Like I learned very quickly, like to ask questions like what does this mean to you, what does this machine mean to you, what can you do with this machine. They're like, well, I can fix these tractors and then I can get more business instead of giving out to my neighbor down the road and giving him the business. And I'm like, oh great, well this will do that perfectly. So straight away they connect the purchase with like improving their business. So like I used to love learning all that. And it wasn't just lathes that I sold lots of other things. So it kind of led into anything people wanted that I could get. I was like, I'll sell this. I remember selling farming quads. So like quads, I always wanted a quad. So then I realized, well, hold on, there's a market in me buying these quads and selling them. Again, I bought them from the UK, or I bought them from like different people selling them like at a low cost locally. I'd buy them and then I'd clean them up and then I'd sell them. I remember one time I bought one and it wasn't running. And I paid like €50 for it. Like I paid nothing for it really. And people said, oh, we couldn't get it going. We couldn't get it going. So myself and my brother went at it and we just started working, messing with the wires. And sure enough, we got to fire up. Roughest looking thing ever. But like we now had a working quad, whereas before it wasn't working. And I think we made like €800 on it. I used to love that. And my favorite thing I ever sold, right? That you'll not understand this, right? But in Ireland, we have a lot of commercial uh like Land Rovers and Land Cruisers and all these things. Basically, you take the back seats out of these vehicles, right? Because
Yeah,
it's just for tax reasons. If you put the seats in, there's a lot more tax. So you're talking 60, 70 grand, right? So anyone will just take the seats out, right? Um, but there came a loophole in the law about 10 years ago where suddenly you were allowed to put the seats back in and you owed no more tax and you got to pay low road tax as well. So everyone wanted seats. Problem was in Ireland, all the seats were gone, right? They were taken out of the vehicles when they were new, and for a while they had to be destroyed, or they were just scrapped because no one wanted them. So then they were destroyed, right? Um, so I remember I started like people started looking for these seats, and I started sourcing them again in the UK, and I used to like get the seats brought in. I buy them cheap in the UK because no one really wanted them. And they used to be like the sixth and seventh seat behind, and then there was the middle row, and then there was a front row. I used to sell the middle row for like €1,500, and then the back row I'd sell it on eBay, and I get about another 400 or 500. And then the front row, someone had like tired looking front seats, they'd buy them as well. So I used to take this complete interior and like split it up into different little deals. Oh man, it was so much fun. That those deals, I just love. And that wasn't really online, but it's still like, I suppose it's the hallmarks of a someone that just has to be doing some form of business all the time.
totally. Yeah, I absolutely love it. I love buying and selling things. Art of the deal. Yeah, that's a good point. That it's quite nice, isn't it? Being able to like add value to something and then offer it to somebody and then buy it. I think it's really cool. I guess that's the same thing we're doing online. There's no difference. We're creating a product for a specific person, offering it to them, and then they are either buying it or they're not buying it.
Do you know what's funny, right? When I was selling the lathes, people ring up and they'd always want to get a lower price or bargain, right? But I knew what it was worth, so I didn't really like. They try and lower, and if it wasn't the price I wanted to sell it at, I'd be just like, "Well, that's it, right? That take it or leave it." And you didn't actually
Yeah,
mind whether they took it or not. And that's such a great mindset to get into. It's funny. It's like when you don't need money or you don't need income, you have more money than you'll ever need, right? Whereas when you
yeah,
need it, when you like desire it and really want it, it's funny. I think you've less. You really struggle to attract it and keep it in your life.
totally, totally couldn't agree more with that. That's happened to
And
me
I've
in a few years. Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. Like I even seen that, like with me with the lathes and stuff. Like I said, plenty of money, plenty of deals, and every deal led to the next. And there was always more and more deals, and soon you had lots of little plays going on, and things just compounded really well, you know. Whereas when you're like, this deal must work, or I have to get this customer, it's like it just doesn't happen. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
It just really doesn't happen. Whereas if you can just like somehow just become, I don't want to say removed from the outcome, but like
you
relaxed
are.
about it. It's just this feeling of just like I just whatever happens, I'm going to be okay. If you can get
Yep.
that feeling and live that feeling, you will be okay, and you'll be better than okay. You'll be unbelievable. It'll be amazing. And that my young days buying and selling, which what everyone does, a lot of people, at least in business, they taught me so much. And there probably was a gap in between where I wasn't doing that and I wasn't, you know, making as much as I want. Where you're probably very insecure, right? And I think everyone can go through phases too. Like even now, like you can sometimes feel insecure or feel like, you know, what am I doing is right and all this, right? But it's funny. It's just when, as I said, when you just get to that stage where you're like, whatever happens, happens, and just trust the process. It goes so well. That's why that's something that I'm always working on in my life. You know, and getting better at.
Totally. Yeah. I think we make a great team. Like we've both grown like similar but also different, and then brought these two skill sets together, which I think is really really cool. Like I think both of us do have that like hustle mentality of like the next deal. I think we both really enjoy that. But then we've also got this like modern approach to things as well, which I think just creates this really cool synergy for building brands, launching products. Like it's just fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, I'm very excited about actually to see where it all goes though, because I know like what we're doing now and getting started, like persistent with all this sort of stuff and with the products we're talking about launching and some of them that we have launched. It's like where can we take it? Like how I don't even think we realize how far we can take it. I don't think
Yeah,
we're really aware, and I think like I'm looking forward to that day where it actually really clicks. Like so I don't know when that's going to be. It's like it's just going to be a surprise, and just one day it's like ah it just all makes sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Like perfectly, like this clear picture. Like it hasn't happened for me yet, but it's kind of like it's becoming clear, and I can see it. One thing leading to the next, leading to the next. Even things that went like terribly wrong, as we would have said at the time, actually led to the next thing and the next thing. And it's all you know becoming clear. But I'm just looking forward to that day where it's like, this is the super, 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 super big picture, and where it all
yeah,
makes sense. And I tell you, when that day happens, it's just like every brand, everything will just go, they'll just take off.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then everyone will say you're an overnight success.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. But then we'll have to go and direct into all these previous podcast episodes we've done. So go back to the start, and then you'll see what we started doing.
Yeah, and you'll notice we're talking about different things.
Yeah,
100%. But you know what, guys? Well, let's leave it there. These are really fun. I actually think in the few days we've been doing these consistently, we've got better. It's funny, like those few
yeah,
days. It's unreal.
yeah.
It's
Agreed.
what all about.
Yeah.
What all about. But guys, if you're enjoying it, please hit subscribe so you can say I was there from the beginning. The beginning after the first 6-7 years more.
I love that. I love it.
Yeah. I love when someone comes to you and they says, yeah, I was there from the beginning. It's like, oh yeah, when did you join? Oh yeah, when you start doing those podcasts. It's like, yeah. Go back further than that. It will happen.
Yeah, it will.
Guys, it will. We'll let you go and we'll talk to you soon, all right?
Ta-ra.
Take care. Bye.